Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of HBHA Lore. I am Mike Margulies, your host, where each episode I speak with a different person connected to HBHA's past or present. I hope you will bear with me this week as I am dealing with a bit of a slightly lost voice, but HBHA Lore does not rest. It rambles on regardless. I'm delighted today to be joined not by one guest, but by two guests. And this is also a special episode for me because one of my hopes in starting this podcast, HBHA Lore, was to get to talk to people from all across the HBHA spectrum, from teachers to alumni and beyond, and from different eras of HBHA. And since I've been a part of HBHA for a long time, I know a lot of people connected to HBHA. I started out as a student in 1996, and I've been teaching here since 2013. So I know most people who have come through the hallways in the past 30 years or so. But this is the first person, one of the people I'm talking to today, who I actually have not met before this very recording. So I'll be learning all about them and what they're up to today alongside you guys, you listeners at home. So I am delighted to be joined today by two graduates in the class of 1995, Aaron Zitron and Brett Kaplan. Aaron and Brett, welcome to HBHA Lore.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah. I'm thrilled to have you guys both here. So, Brett, I'm going to start with you. And as I mentioned, you're the first person who I'm speaking to who I actually have not met before. And the reason you're on this podcast is because you were gracious enough to reach out to me and say that you were listening to HBHA Lore and hearing some episodes, which thrilled me because part of my hope it was that it would unite people from all eras of HBHA. First of all, how did you even hear about the podcast? How did you hear that this was happening?
I think that it was either one of two ways. I think that I had a classmate that reached out to me, Joseph Megerman. He reached out and he said, check the podcast out. Or I might have seen a social post of some sort. And I mean, that was early on. It was beginning. So, I mean, I've been listening since the beginning and just really enjoying what you're doing and listening to everybody that's come on and kind of hearing their stories. So it's been fun. It's good. I'm always listening, in the background, I'm doing some work, at work every once in a while. It really makes the day go by well and get to hear some cool stuff.
Well, I love to hear it. And I'm glad. I mean, again, my hope was that it would make people from all across HBHA eras feel connected still to the school they spent so much time with. And we'll have plenty of time to, go back in time and discuss your guys' HBHA memories. But let's start with where you're at today, Brett. Where do you live and what do you do work-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I work for a rental car company. I'm a global account manager. So I manage relationships with a portfolio of accounts that I want to use my services when they travel. So really focusing on the corporate traveler and account management and all aspects that would go along with that.
You know what? People need cars wherever they go.
They do.
You're on it. Tell us a little bit more about life in Milwaukee. What do you do when you're not dishing out rental cars to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got three younger kids that keep me extremely busy. So we're at the age, they're 9, 5, and 7. So we're at that age. We're running around. It's funny. I always kind of tell my wife, I'm like, okay, so I work from 9 to 5-ish, and then next thing you know, I've got my second job, which is running the kids around, picking them up from school, taking them to practices. I am involved with some of their sports. So I coach baseball, I coach basketball as well for my oldest son. So that keeps us real busy and we have a real good time doing that. And then when we're not working, we're living our lives, just having fun here. My wife is originally from the state of Wisconsin. So her family is here while my family is all back in Kansas City. I was actually there just last weekend or last week for Thanksgiving. So I go back as much as I can because my family's there. And so, so we spend a lot of time, running around the kids, hanging out with family, doing fun things when we can, which we try to take advantage of on the weekends.
It sounds like you're a pretty sports-centric family in some ways. So I got to ask you the most important thing regarding your kids. Are they Packers fans or are they Chiefs fans?
Yeah, great question. It's funny because my oldest son kind of was born in the right era, right? He's 9. And so he's had nothing but watching me enjoy the run, the dynasty, the magical run that we've been on with the Chiefs, and even a little bit of Royals there back, 15, 16, back then. But he's really kind of taken over. And it's funny because I grew up a Kansas City Chiefs fan, a Royals fan. And I said from the moment I moved to Wisconsin, I will always be a Chiefs and Royals fan over a Packers fan. Although I love the Packers and I'm behind them every step of the way. But that's because I grew up in Kansas City. Well, my son, my oldest, is the exact opposite, and he is a diehard Chiefs fan to the point where he's still kind of figuring out, it's okay to root for the Packers and it's okay for them to win. You don't have to be all Chiefs all the time. So he's kind of figuring that out. But the household is definitely split, but there is a big Kansas City presence. And now we're all Swifties, which I didn't even know we would become, of course, right? But now Taylor has entered our life. We love it. I've embraced it. I never thought I'd be a Swiftie, but I am. So is my son. So are all my sons. But we are big Chiefs fans, big Kansas City sports fans.
And you mentioned your kids. Is it 3 boys that you have at home?
Yeah, 3 boys.
Oh my goodness, I have 2 boys of my own.
Look at that! Nice, that's awesome.
Power to you. As that sounds like a very hectic and thrilling and exciting household.
Yes.
The good news is, you're not living in Denver, where it would really matter if it was Chiefs versus Broncos.
That's a great point.
Chiefs and Packers, not a ton of overlap. They're going to play once every 4 years.
Yep.
Super Bowl showdown. That's when it would really, really matter.
Yep. And we've been close a few times.
Yeah,
we've been close to playing the Packers a few times in this run. So, no, you're right. It's a good point. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah,
at least I'm not living in Denver.
They're kind of non-overlapping domains for the most part.
Right.
Just don't bring up MUKU because, Brett grew up a very different fan than the rest of the people.
Oh, okay.
A lot of bitter fights over the years.
Yeah.
So Brett, I'm going to come back to you with that MU question here in a second. But Aaron, thank you for interjecting because I was going to ask you next. Now, Aaron, fortunately, I have gotten a chance to know you well over the years for a couple of reasons. One, we've had some basketball showdowns at the JCC, certainly, and also I have been fortunate enough to teach your 2 boys. This is a very son-centric podcast that we've got.
Fortunate or unfortunate?
Yeah, your 2 boys, Gus and Teddy, who is, believe it or not, getting ready to graduate at the end of the school year. Yes. Do you believe that? Are you shocked by that news, Aaron?
I am shocked, but I'm also excited.
Yes, I'm excited as well, and I've loved teaching them over the years. So, Aaron, tell us a little bit about you. What do you do these days?
So obviously, I live in Kansas City. My kids go to HBHA. I'm in healthcare sales. I referee college basketball, and I have different other investments that I manage for my family. So I got a lot going on in life, in the world of professional life.
Healthcare, is that like health insurance that you're selling?
We're in medical sales. Let's just put it that way.
Medical sales, perfect. And then refereeing college basketball. That's
way more fun.
That sounds quite interesting. Some things I've got questions for. What level of college basketball are you at, and how do you even get involved in that? What's kind of the process of becoming a college level referee?
So first you get to start refereeing really bad youth basketball, like 3rd graders, the type of kids that Brett's coaching right now.
There's my team right there.
Yeah. And you deal with coaches that don't know what they're talking about. And then you have tryout camps that you can go to, educational camps that you can go to and work and get additional training. And then if you're good enough and they like you, they hire you at the next level. So currently I'm working Division II in Down. I've had the pleasure of working, the NAIA tournament every year is here in Kansas City. The last couple of years, I had the pleasure of making to the NAIA tournament and working the national semifinal. So I've worked a couple preseason Division I scrimmages over the years at various colleges. So it's been a lot of fun.
Working your way up from 3rd graders to D2. Soon you'll be reffing the Final Four, NBA Finals.
I don't know about that.
Is there any particular game, like really exciting game that you've refereed where you're like, this one really, or that you had to make maybe some really pivotal call at the end of a game to decide something that just sticks out when thinking about your reffing experience?
I think the most memorable game was the NAIA semifinals the last couple of years. It's just kind of mind-boggling to think that one of these teams is going to lose and their season's over. And if they're a senior, their basketball career potentially is over. And one of the teams is going to go on to win or play in the national championship. So that's kind of exciting while also high pressure. So a lot of a lot of focus needs to go into it, but I try to make sure I sit back and actually absorb the moment and enjoy it. So
I've been to one of those NAIA games before. I think when I was in high school, I attended one of the semifinal matches or something. They're really exciting and really fun.
yeah. I think one of my more memorable games too is Teddy and Gus came to one of my games. This was 5 or 6 years ago, and I had made what I thought was a great call, but apparently the fans did not think it was a good call.
Oh,
And I look up into the stands, and my own sons are booing me. So
Oh,
that was kind of memorable.
they're booing. Are you sure they weren't booing the basketball play? They were specifically
No,
booing
I'm
the
pretty
ref?
sure they were booing me.
They're wearing like their own striped zebra shirts, and they're just
Yeah.
boo. This ref
So
sucks. Well, that does sound very, very fun. And also stressful. I mean, being a ref, no one's ever happy with the ref. The thing about being a ref or an umpire is, best case scenario, no one notices you're there. And worst case scenario, they're who you're talking about after the game. But I think you're doing a great job, Aaron.
I appreciate that.
I think you're
seen
refing.
him, Micah. I've seen him ref. Okay,
Yeah.
so I can say that even though Teddy and Gus might think that he made some bad calls, fantastic ref, and I've seen a lot of refs. So he's good. He's good at what he does.
See, and this is coming from an experienced coach himself.
Yeah,
Brett, so
give
Brett,
you 20 bucks later,
I've seen
Brett.
the worst. I've seen the best. I've seen that, but I've seen Aaron, and he's good at what he does on the court. I can tell you that.
and Brett, you said that your oldest son, I believe, did you say he plays baseball?
Yep, he plays baseball too.
And I misheard. Did you say that you did any coaching with that, or are you just watching and cheering from the
No,
sidelines?
I am the head coach of the baseball team as well. Although I don't know much about baseball, and I've said that to everybody. But sometimes in these youth programs, and some people might know, you kind of get pulled in as, oh yeah, I'll be a helper, and then next thing you know, you're the head coach, and you're making the schedule, and you're figuring all this stuff. But I've got a great assistant coach staff that helps a lot because I'm very good at scheduling and all the administrative stuff. I'm like a good GM, but I don't know. And I played baseball growing up, all the way till through ninth grade, I think.
What was your position of choice?
Catcher. I was a catcher. Yeah. So, but I didn't really know a lot about baseball. I think I just knew how to play it. So yeah, that's how I got roped into that. But yes, coaching. I am the head coach of them as well.
They often say that catchers make the best managers and best coaches.
Then there you go. It's the most important position on the field.
Exactly. They're coaching from behind the plate, the whole thing. They're literally watching the whole field. Any highlights or stories to share from your baseball coaching experience?
Yeah. So actually, we had last season, end of the season. So you play a bunch of league games and you enter tournaments around the city. So we were in the the semifinals, let's say, of this tournament. We were losing 13-11. It was the bottom of the seventh. They only play 7 innings. We had come back. We were down 1 run. So it was now, I guess, 13-12 or 13. No, it was tied up. Bases loaded, 3-2 count. Jack, my son, up to bat, and literally fouled off 3 balls. I mean, literally like the stuff you hear about in movies. And I'm not making this up because I'm trying to. And he's good. He's not the best player on the team. He's not the worst player on the team. That type of thing. But anyway, 3-2 count. Hits a line drive up the middle, scores the game-winning run. So puts us in this tournament into the finals, right? But we got gassed in the finals because we used all of our energy and all of our excitement to get there. But it was a really cool moment. It was like the last game of the season, last tournament of the season to watch kind of my son progress and kind of get that game winning. I mean, literally 3-2, fouled off a bunch of balls and then hit one up the middle to drive in the winning run. So very cool.
Must have been the coaching.
It was the coach. That's exactly right, Aaron. That's what I said to the team afterwards.
Every great player has a great coach.
I was going to say what you needed for the finals was to recruit Aaron to ump from behind the plate and secretly be giving you the HBHA friendly strike zone.
Yeah, you could have gotten Teddy.
Say that, Mike. I need to get him. I got a game. We got games this weekend. I need to get him up here to ref some of these third grade games. I'm sure he'd love that.
Oh yeah.
Well, you can afford me anymore.
Take
him back to his roots.
Exactly.
Teddy umpires baseball now, so you should get Teddy to umpire some of your spring.
There you go. Well, hopefully we won't have to cover travel fees because these umpires don't get paid a lot at third grade.
He's got good enough vision. He can probably spot balls and strikes from Kansas City.
There you go.
And call them in Milwaukee. All right, Brett. So Aaron alluded, I'm going to guess that you may have grown up a Mizzou fan, or maybe you attended Mizzou. What did you do after graduating high school in 1995? Give us a little bit. Where did you go after that, and what kind of your life
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
led you to Milwaukee?
So I did not go to Mizzou, but would have been a choice. But I ended up so after I graduated, I ended up going to a school called Edgewood College in Madison, Wisconsin, and was one of the things that I was able to do there and wanted to do, if possible, was play basketball. So that's kind of what brought me to Edgewood, out of the academy. So ended up going to Edgewood, ended up loving Madison. It's a great college town. So literally Edgewood's in Madison, right? So it's like it's incorporated into the University of Wisconsin. I mean, it's right there. The campuses are shared basically. So smaller school, right? Because we graduated 8 kids in '95 in my class. So the fact of going to like a KU or MU was probably a little bit intimidating. And Aaron probably knows I was the best in my class. I was the smartest kid in our class, So I was no, just kidding.
Or at least top 10.
Yeah, right. No, but
Not bait.
yeah, right. But going to that smaller school really helped. So ended up staying in Wisconsin and loving Wisconsin. Out of college, started working in Wisconsin, and I just couldn't leave. I'd made a bunch of great friends. Started to make my life here. Moved around the state for a little bit with my job previous to the job I'm at now, but ended up in Milwaukee 2007-ish. And that's it. I've just been here since. I met my wife around 2012, and we just haven't left. And no plans to leave. I love Wisconsin. I love it here. But I mean, Kansas City will always has a piece of my heart with me,
Awesome.
there.
Did you end up playing basketball at Edgewood?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the thing. Like the goal was to go to a smaller school. Obviously, I wasn't a D1 recruit or anything like that, but Edgewood was Division III, and ended up, played there for 4 years. First 2 years, I didn't really play. I sat on the bench, but so junior, senior year, got some playing time. We, won some conference tournaments. We did not have an automatic bid to the NCAA Division III tournament. They do now. So I never got the joy of playing in a Division III, NCAA tournament, but won conference championship, which is extremely memorable. And
Awesome.
Did
you play in that game in the conference championship game? Did you get any playing time in that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's some experience.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was fun, and it was humbling because I came from high school where I was decent, right, or at least I thought I was decent, right. But you go to this school, and I 2 years of just going to practices and riding the bench, but didn't matter really. It was about the camaraderie. It was about the team. I grew up playing sports at the academy and baseball and all that stuff. So just growing up playing sports and being on a team was really awesome. And I love that camaraderie, and just some of my best friends to this day, I'm still in contact with the guys from college that I made. And one of the big reasons I stayed in Wisconsin, right? Because I had made this network of people that I really enjoyed being with, and we all live in and around, the city of Milwaukee, it seems now these days as well. So, but yeah, got to play and had some great memories there.
Awesome. And how would you describe your basketball playing style? Are you like a sniper from deep? Are you a post player extraordinaire?
Oh man, I don't know. I might need Aaron to help me out with this one. If Aaron's dad was describing my basketball play, he'd say slow and no coordination. Okay, about it.
Okay, sounds elite so far. Keep going.
Yeah, right. Elite. Sniper. Yeah, I mean, listen, I I'll say I'm 6 foot sometimes, but really I'm 5'11", right? Sure. So you don't have a lot of things you can be on basketball except a shooter, right? And that's what I was, a shooter. I shot a lot, probably too much in high school. But yeah, a shooter. I was like a two guard. I wasn't the best handling the ball in high school, and it got better as I improved and I went to college. But by the end of my college career, I could shoot the lights out, and I still think I can, but I don't know, not as well as I used to.
Aaron, can you confirm the scouting report?
Yeah, he was a good shooter. He was dependent upon me throwing him the ball as the point guard.
Here we go.
Don't worry, we'll have a whole section set aside for the high school basketball film breakdown, where you guys can parse who was really responsible for the team's primary success. Aaron, how about you? So you're graduating in 1995. Give us a little bit of catching up. Where'd you go after graduating HBHA that maybe led you to where you are today?
Yeah, so like Brett, after I graduated in '95, I also had the opportunity to go play college basketball not too far from here down in Ottawa, Kansas at Ottawa University. So one of the things Brett didn't mention is that our class, along with a couple classes above us and below us, was instrumental in starting the basketball program at HBHA. There was no high school basketball program when we were eighth graders, and we went to the administration and told them, "Hey, we want to keep playing basketball after eighth grade. Can we get a program together?" So
Hey,
um, the school went and put together a basketball program, and so Brett and myself and some other guys, the class above us, couple classes above us, helped start the HBHA basketball program. So that was kind of cool. So not only did we get the program started, but because we were kind of one of the first group of guys to graduate from HBHA playing basketball, that we're one of the very few, I think, that actually went on to play college basketball.
I was gonna say that's pretty impressive that it wasn't just that you helped start the program. You'd think, okay, it's a new program. We're probably gonna be maybe pretty mediocre. We don't really have a lot that we're drawing on, but instead you guys are all playing at the collegiate level. That's pretty impressive. So if you guys got it started, who was the very first HBHA boys high school coach?
Bob
Bob
Hennick, who's
Okay.
at the JCC now,
Yeah.
in the sports department. Yep.
Who
Yeah.
coached for a long time at HBHA, including was a basketball coach of mine for part of my high school career, and I graduated in 2008. So that's quite a bit of a run, and we had a lot of success then, as has been discussed on some of the other episodes. We
Yep.
won some high school tournaments, including the Sarachek National Jewish Basketball Tournament in 2004.
Yep.
So I guess this is as good a time to kind of talk about that. What was, Aaron, how would you describe the success initially, or what the beginning of that high school basketball program was like?
So our very first year, our freshman year, we only competed at the JV level because it got put together pretty quickly, and I don't think they knew quite how well we would do. And that first year, if memory serves, I think we were about 500, Brett, right? I mean, maybe.
We were better our first year than we were the next
Yeah.
couple of years,
So,
but for good reason, which we'll talk about. But yeah, absolutely, we were better. Yeah, that first year was better.
Yeah, that
our
beginning
junior
slot.
year, I think we finished over 500. Our junior year was probably our most successful year. We actually had some really talented players, to be honest.
Yeah, we did. Junior year was, yeah.
Yeah. Brett and I, like I said, both of us went to play college basketball. I played for a year before I transferred, and that's all. We can talk more about that. I didn't stop giving up basketball, but I shot for a higher goal than what I initially went for.
Any other stars besides the two of you who you guys want to shout out as basketball luminaries?
Yes, I will. Yeah, I will.
Brett, we're the only two that mattered.
We are the two that matter. Okay, we'll say that. That's. I agree with you there. But you got to think. So, like, we had the year above us, Ryan Zeldin. You got to give him shout out. Good player. We had Jared Nussbaum. We had David Kroll. Those guys were the year above us. So our junior year, they were seniors. And that was the year that we actually advanced. And we can talk about this, Mike, or we can go in this right now. But we played in the Kansas State tournament.
Let's talk about it right now, Brett. Keep it going.
So
Let's hear about it.
If you want to talk about that, we can talk about that junior year, because that was the one thing that kind of, I think, we'll find some relevant information for. But Aaron, you can correct. And listen, Micah, we're old, so our memories are a little bit there. But this, Aaron, please correct me if I'm wrong.
I took my privilege in this morning, so my memory's good.
Okay, good.
Brett, you know what? Elaborate. You can. The podcast is HBHA lore. Lore is
there we go.
blend fact with mythology. No one's fact checking you on the archives of what happened in the 1995 champion semifinals of the J League.
Yeah. So I mean, that was our first year when we were sophomores, right? So we, like Aaron said, though, our JV, our first year, sophomore year was rough because we kind of were thrown in. We were 1A school, right? So right, Kansas is 6A is the largest. We're 1A, right? And we're thrown in, and gosh, I mean, we remember tournaments like I remember playing in a Tonganoxie tournament where we were playing 6A schools and we were getting crushed, right? Because we just were trying to get our feet wet, get in tournaments and all these things. But we figured it out, and then our schedule was a little bit more friendly, 1A, 2A schools, and we had to travel. I mean, we had to travel far to play some of these schools. But the junior year was our junior year, and this was like the older kids' senior year. We made it to the state tournament. We won our first round game, which was huge, right? So you're in the state tournament, won our first round. Second round game was scheduled against a team that we had to play like at a neutral site. I'm not sure if we played Opie, but it was in Opie, Kansas. All right. And the game was scheduled, and this is one of the things that kind of led to some problems, right, that we had with the Kansas State High School Basketball Association. The game was scheduled, our second round tournament was scheduled for a Friday night. Well, we couldn't play on Friday night.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we needed to kind of fix this situation and see what could be done. So we ended up playing Friday afternoon in Opie, Kansas.
Oh.
But it allowed us not to travel back to Kansas City after the game. Opie's what, an hour? I don't even know where Opie is anymore. Hour and a half, 2 hours away. So we actually played the basketball game and we lost in a very close game. And we had to spend the night in the high school at Opie, Kansas.
A little
So you had
impromptu Shabbaton.
a Shabbaton, absolutely, in Opie, Kansas. So we're there. We had lost because had we won, we would have had to play on Saturday. Well, again, we couldn't play till a certain time. So they made these concessions for us. But if I'm right, it wasn't easy for them to make these concessions for us at that time in 1995. You know, they just didn't kind of see that forward. So we lost.
The Jewish population in Opie, Kansas that night like went up tenfold.
I was going to say, you guys had their first minion there.
We did, exactly.
And it was very kind of you, Brett, for you guys to, obviously you could have easily won that Friday afternoon game, but for you to throw the game intentionally so that they didn't have to make the Saturday night accommodations for you to make the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Very kind of you guys.
We didn't
The
have to stay
interesting
in
thing
high
was,
school.
though, after that tournament experience, Kansas High School State Association actually said that we can no longer be members of KSHA because they weren't going to make any more accommodations. So after I think it was after that, it was after our senior year, we couldn't be part of KSHA anymore. And so that's why all the teams after of us started going to the Maimonides tournament or the Sarachek tournament because you guys weren't able to play in the Kansas State tournament. And so the school wanted to be able to let you guys, all the teams play in a tournament of some kind. So I know that I think our senior year was the last class to ever play in a Kansas State tournament game also because of the unwillingness of the Kansas State High School Association to accommodate us.
Okay. Well, you guys very, very kind of naturally segued us back to your HBHA time. So let's spend a little bit more time during this era. So for each of you, to start off, I'm curious, Aaron, we'll start with you. When did you start going to HBHA? Did you start there as a kindergartner or did you join a little bit later on in your process?
I did start as kindergartner. And then I went all the way through my senior year and I got to do an extra year also because I really liked first grade. So I did it twice.
Gotcha. You were like, 13 years isn't enough. I'm doing 14. And then you know what? My kids and even my wife, they're going to stay as a part of this HBHA family, which is fantastic. Brett, how about yourself? When did you join the HBHA?
Same thing. I mean, I was kindergarten through 12th, never left. One of the best things that ever happened to me, and that's, Aaron, I'm glad you brought that up, but Aaron since he loved first grade so much, doing it again, was amazing because that allowed us to have an older friend that could drive a year before everybody, was able to do everything that a 18-year-old, 17-year-old might not be able to do. And so when Aaron got his driver's license on February 11th, 2000, or 2000, geez, whenever it was, February 11th.
2000. He got his driver's license 5 years after you guys graduated.
I was going with that. What I meant to say is it's like I got my driver's license as well. Gotcha. And after we figured out how to turn on the car, if he remembers that story, Aaron couldn't figure out the car the first night to turn it on in the driveway after he came to pick me up, which we got past that. My life changed, and it's all because of Aaron. So I'm glad that he was there that time.
I think perhaps, Brett, even if you hadn't realized it at the time, that might have been your origin as working for a rental car company. He was kind of your first rental car. You were renting him to pick you up and that might be, but yeah, it was pretty fun to have that older friend in our grade. So where were the hot spots around town that you guys liked to frequent back in the day?
Oh gosh. Oh man. I think the thing that I remember the most is that wherever somebody's parents were not that weekend was the hot spot. You know, that was the thing. I mean, we would always just kind of find places where our parents were out of town or not there that night, and that was the spot to be. As well as, you know, we were in BBYO events and a lot of things, you know, so we were always going to those different events and I was very involved with that and the dances and all that stuff. But really just where our parents were out of town, that's where the party was.
So, you know, as I mentioned before, you guys are the furthest back alumni that I've spoken with. And one of the great things about HBHA is, you know, a lot of teachers who teach here have taught here for a long time. And so some people I've spoken with, have talked about teachers who are still here today. But you guys, really all the teachers that you guys had, they're not teaching here anymore because enough time has passed. So this would, I think, be a great chance for you guys to maybe shout out some teachers who might have not be really well known by current day listeners. Brad, I'll start with you. Any teacher you can think of when you're thinking back at your time at HBHA?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Long-term impact on you, and why?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think that Miss Hewitt was there. She was our second grade teacher she was your one of the first people you had on your podcast. So when she was
taught at HBHA for 35 plus years, was my third grade teacher, an absolute HBHA legend, and is currently enjoying a very well-earned HBHA retirement.
Yeah, she was our second grade teacher. And so I think when she was kind of giving her origin story and she was talking, I think she was probably pretty new when she could have been her first or second year when she had us. And I do remember that was second grade. But gosh, we had some of my favorites. First of all, Mr. Nagar. Everybody will know Mr. Nagar, one of my favorite teachers of all time.
And what did he teach?
He was like
I'm not really sure what he taught.
Yeah, we don't know, but that's what made it so magical, right? It was definitely Hebrew language. It wasn't so much Talmud and Torah. It was more Hebrew language.
Sure.
And we sang all the time, and that was one of my favorite things about his classes. And some of the songs that we sang, I mean, I could recite today, and if I saw some of my alumni, we could probably still sing these songs we would sing in his classes. But that was like middle school. We had
Aaron, feel free to start the singing whenever. Just chime in and get the songs rolling.
Our Hebrew class consisted, and I was honestly looking back at it, it was probably one of the greatest experiences because it taught more about the culture of Hebrew and the culture of Judaism. Is our Hebrew class wasn't grammar. It was he would come in, bring his guitar, and he'd give us a song sheet, and we'd sit there and sing Hebrew songs. Like modern songs too that were modern at the time in the 90s. And it was just kind of fun because Hebrew class was less about learning Hebrew in the grammatical way and more about learning Hebrew as part of a culture. So it was really fun. That's
very cool. I think we've probably in the time since maybe firmed up that curriculum a little bit while also continuing, the music and the cultural aspect of Hebrew and Israel as well. So Brett, continue. So
so we had Mr. Ranan. He was another great teacher, and he was like a Talmud and I think a Torah teacher. Miss Nias was a teacher that I enjoyed a lot. She was our English teacher. She was back in the day, Miss Nias. Gosh, who else? What else, Aaron? Who else are some of the teachers that we?
So interestingly enough, one of the teachers that was there when my son started attending, who was one of our teachers, who I really enjoyed, was Gloria Kagan.
Miss Kagan, absolutely, yeah.
One of the best to ever do it. My sixth grade teacher as well.
Yep. So I was a little strange that when Teddy and Gus started there, and she was still there.
Yeah. By then, she had transitioned kind of away from the full-time English teaching to being for quite a while the middle school play director and doing other things around school. But Mrs. Kagan, absolutely wonderful. Aaron, anyone else who comes to mind?
We had another teacher that was there when my kids started also who was great. He taught math, is Brian Ballman.
Oh yeah.
One of the greatest classes that we ever had with him is he taught us the statistics and probability of how to gamble different, dice and cards and whatnot.
Okay, so this is incredible. Hold on for a second. So Brian Ballman, I guess I didn't realize this at the time, but now that you mentioned it, I think I know this. So he taught you guys. He was then gone for a long time.
Yes.
And teaching elsewhere. I know he's taught high schools, colleges. And then he came back as a part-time teacher for several years, probably 4 or 5 years, shortly after I returned as a teacher. So I never had him as a student during my time. But he was a colleague of mine, and he taught it in my very classroom, the room where I'm teaching right now, because he just taught 1 or sometimes 2 classes a year, usually like a calculus class or a pre-calc class. And I enjoyed his math teaching so much that, frequently if a teacher's teaching in a room, the other teacher will go to the teacher's lounge. I would just work from my desk and kind of audit the class and listen in and review some calculus for myself because I enjoyed listening to teach so much. So, Mr. Ballman, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. Just great math teacher. Really one of the most brilliant math guys I've ever seen. This guy just very calmly knew any math problem you could possibly
It
throw.
was a lot of fun to learn how to gamble from him, the statistics of, when to hit, when not to hit, what dice to, playing craps, what are the odds of getting a seven? Like that was one of our lessons and it was a lot of fun.
It's all math. It's all math.
It's all
Yes, it
math.
is.
Um, that's great. And you know what? Even though going back to the early 90s, the mid 90s, some of those teachers, lasted teaching until 2020, have been almost and taught for such a long time, 2+ decades after you had them, which is really incredible and just speaks to kind of the longevity of some of the teachers here. We've just had so many teachers here who taught for 20, 30 years, which is incredible.
The last shout out I got to give is
Yeah,
to our high school principal, middle school and high school principal, Joseph Cernick. He
yeah,
was very instrumental, I think, in both Brett and I's lives and kind of
Absolutely.
forming us and keeping us off the track of being delinquents.
sure.
Um, he was
Great.
a great man and a wonderful high school principal and did a great
Absolutely.
job at handling a bunch of teenagers.
Is he the guy that you guys went to when you were trying to get the basketball program off the ground?
No, I don't think he might have been involved, but I think we went. I
The
don't know.
headmaster, whoever was our headmaster, or with
Yeah, whoever. It might have been
He went
Rabbi
to the very
Fields at the
he went to the
time.
very top.
Yeah.
So one of the great things about HBHA is there's a lot of different, outside of the classroom experiences that we have. Many of them are long-standing traditions that have, lasted for decades, whether those were trips that we've taken or things like the Chag Sidor, Chag Chumash. And some of those might date all the way back to your guys' time. Some of them might be things that have changed over the years. But Aaron, I'll start with you. Are there any outside of the class experiences? Those could have been a specific program, a trip that you guys took, just a non-traditional learning experience, maybe even in a class that you remember that stick with you still?
Yeah, I think one of the most memorable trips for me was our eighth grade year. We took a class trip to Chicago.
Oh, nice.
Um, that was a ton of fun. We went to a Cubs game. Mr.
oh,
Cernick, who we were
yeah,
talking about,
yeah.
dealing with a bunch of middle school kids, somehow managed to lock the keys to the rental car in the car with the car running.
That,
More
again,
rental.
again,
Wait,
Brett
no, that
Georgia.
wasn't Mr. Cernick. Wasn't that Miss Nias? Because that was the other chaperone.
It was one of them. I don't
Mr.
remember.
Cernick wouldn't have done that. Miss
Someone
Nias,
managed to lock the keys in the car
yeah.
with the car running
Oh, that's
in
basically
Chicago, downtown Chicago. And we were joking about how we probably could have just gotten someone off the street to unlock it for us
yeah.
as
If
opposed
only
to waiting
if
for the
only one of the
officer.
students at the time had been a future worker for a rental car company, they could have really helped you out of that jam.
I would have known exactly what to do if I had known, if it was
If only
today.
you had known. Brett, how about you? What any kind of outside of the traditional classroom experiences that stick with
Yeah,
you?
I mean, gosh, when you say Chag Sidur, Chag Chumash, absolutely, I remember all that. I mean, that was at the old school on the building's not even there anymore. The old academy.
Yeah.
Okay, with this we got to talk about a little bit more. So you
Oh
guys,
yeah, because we were in sixth grade. Was when we went in sixth grade was we were the first year at the new school in sixth grade.
okay, so let's talk a little bit about that previous school. So Brett, before we were at the place where we are now, located, comfortably at
Oh
115th
yeah.
and all. Where was the previous HBHA located?
It's what well
It was
it's what
on
I
College
need Aaron,
Boulevard.
you're gonna have to
College
help me out with
Boulevard.
that. I know.
Yeah. It was on College Boulevard between Row and Knoll. So
Yeah.
literally just a few minutes away from where the
It's
current
not
campus
there
is.
anymore. They tore it down to build the NCAA's headquarters, which was there for a time period, which is no longer there, right? The
Yeah,
NCAA headquarters.
they moved to Indianapolis. I think it actually is on I think Zoom, interestingly enough, is the building that sits on that property now.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Okay,
It's across the street from the Overland Park Convention Center there
uh-huh.
that is on College Boulevard.
Okay, so very close by.
Yeah.
And I
Close.
presume that the move happened probably because I'm assuming because the school maybe was expanding and growing and maybe they needed more space or maybe they just needed a better, newer venue. I don't know the reasoning, honestly, behind the move. Do either of you guys know what was the reasoning that precipitated the move?
Now the cool part, right, is the HBHA was the HBHA, but then they built the Jewish Community Campus, right?
Yeah.
So it entailed the J, the academy, there was the Jewish Federation was there. That's how it was. I mean, and even the building you're in now looks nothing like it did when we were there.
Oh no, we've
Um,
done all sorts of revamps in the past few years,
yeah,
especially.
but I don't know the exact reasoning. I think the land was there. I think that it might have even been donated, the land.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of I don't know all the history of that, but I know that a lot of the Jewish Federation and the organizations were all be able to, BBYO headquarters or the BBYO offices were there. They still are. And that was all able to come into under one roof, I think. So that had something to do with it, but I don't know.
Well, that's
And I'm
that's
pretty sure that HBA did not own the building that we were in. And so when the opportunity for all the Jewish agencies in the city to uh, coalesce under one roof, then HBHA obviously joined into that.
very cool. So obviously you guys were quite young, like you were lower schoolers when you were in the older building. Was there anything you remember about that older building? Because I mean, I don't know that building at all. And like you said, I don't think it even exists anymore. So it just exists in the fragments of your guys' memories. Anything you remember about that old place? It could be either just like what it was like, or any experiences, Brett, you were starting to talk about, like
Yeah, yeah.
your thoughts
Well, we
on
had, yeah, like I said, Chag Chumash, Chab Sidur, all that stuff was there. The fifth grade was in an annex that they called the annex. The fifth grade classrooms were in like a double wide trailer outside of the building in the back.
Okay.
And that was our last year there. So literally, like in the morning, you'd come in the front door and you'd have to walk through the school. You'd have to then again walk outside to go to the fifth grade annex. While we were there, they built a new kindergarten wing, which was fantastic. Obviously, we weren't there, and it wasn't built when we were in kindergarten. And then also because they built a 6 through 12th wing as well while we were in there, which we never got to experience. But it was built probably like when we were in third or fourth grade, or maybe even fifth. So we never got to go into that area as students, but it was really cool too because it was kind of a separate wing. So you had this kindergarten wing, you had the sixth grade wing, or sixth through high school wing, and then the two double wides where the fifth graders were. Um,
I think
and
the biggest memory I have of that place also is it wasn't that fancy campus that you guys get to be a part of. So PE was in the lunchroom.
yeah,
Sure.
And so we
Why
would have
not?
to move some tables and chairs to play some kickball.
yeah.
And,
And the stage came apart. Like it was like the
yeah.
stage was like you'd move the risers. They were just big, heavy pieces of wood. And you'd
So,
have to move those, gosh, back and forth. But yeah, there was no gym, there was no basketball courts. It was just gaga, mash, and kickball in the same place where you had lunch.
Sure,
yeah.
why not? And hopefully, I'm picturing, hopefully that maybe like the third graders were eating lunch while the fifth graders were having gym. So as you're eating a peanut butter sandwich, someone just kicks a ball right at your head, and by your rounding third, you just tackle some poor kid drinking a Capri Sun.
Yeah.
Well, while you're playing shortstop, you could find a hot dog that someone had left on
Yeah,
the ground. You
you
could
could
pick it up and take a
grab a
bite.
pizza bagel too. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. So as you guys mentioned, you guys had a relatively small class of 8. And presumably you guys were a pretty tight-knit group. I've got a quarter of the graduating class of 1995 right here. Any memories that come to mind just about your guys' class as a whole, maybe something that you guys were doing, or feel free to embarrass one of your fellow graduates or with a wonderful memory, but anything you want to share just about your guys' time together as a class?
Um, yeah, I won't embarrass anybody, but I can just tell you that, I mean, we were basically 8 strong since, I mean, what, probably from by about high school, right? Ninth grade through 12th grade. We had a couple that would come in and out, through that thing. So I think the one thing, I mean, obviously nowadays, a lot of the kids at the academy might have this, but we have a text chain, right? Of all 8 of us, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And we text all the time. And so that's cool. And, example, I was back in Kansas City last week and I spent time with Aaron. I spent time with my other friend, Joseph. I spent time with Shira. So, I mean, 50% of my graduating class, I got to see when I was back in Kansas City. And what's so great about that is that, we're bonded for life, right? Because we were these 8 kids that grew up and together. I mean, and of the 8 kids, right, Aaron? Did we all go kindergarten to 12th?
One of us didn't. So
I can't,
Shari
yeah.
was there. Shari came later.
Sorry.
That's okay, but Aaron made up for it by doing first grade twice. So he was
Yeah.
he was making sure
There
everyone
you
was
go.
represented.
And I think what another is a great aspect of the academy, and it's really unique. So, not only did we have the academy, but we had, or the 8 of us, but we had the grades below us. I mean, we were great friends, and we still are with the kids that were the grade below us and 2 grades below us, and then the kids above us as well. So yeah, we were 8, right? But by the time we were graduating, I don't know, between ninth and 12th, I can't even give you the number. Might have had what, 50, 60 students between ninth and 12th, or is that an exaggeration? I don't know, Aaron. But
That's probably about right.
a lot of us we're all friends to this day. You know what I mean? So that's another cool part about it. So it's like when you have these 8, which we're really close with was the whole high school, especially in our high school years and in those mid 90s when we were growing at that new school. We were all friends, and it was really a bonding experience that we will all have for the rest of our lives. And I feel like I could, even though I haven't talked to some of those folks in years, I feel like I could pick right back up with them today if
Yep.
we were to come in contact with each other. And with social media and other things, you see and you kind of keep tabs on everybody, but at the same time, like I said, I think that was one of the greatest things about the academy in and of itself, is just the sense of community, the sense of family, and just not in our grade.
Yeah, no, that what you said. I completely is like the same exact experience for me too. And what you said about like, you might go a couple years without really seeing someone or talking to someone, and then you see them. People are back in town for Thanksgiving, and it's just so easy to just pick right back up, kind of with where you left off, and fall back into things because you have all of that built up shared time and history together, which is awesome. Hearing that, some of these people are people you've known going back like 40 years. We're talking that you spent time with, which is so cool. Aaron, anything you want to add just about your guys' class and class dynamic?
Yeah, I think I would describe our class as a very chill class. We weren't, with my kids being there, I get to see some of the personalities of the classes now. Some are a little more serious and studious, and some are a little more silly and rambunctious. I think we were just kind of that chill class. We all just were laid back, trying to just enjoy life and take it for what it was at that point in time. So I think that's how I would describe our class.
Except on the basketball court where you guys turn into ferocious monsters. I do have one last question about basketball before we maybe pivot towards the end of our conversation here, which is, as you guys said, we've talked a lot about basketball, but I do want to give you guys a chance to share. Is there any kind of, aside from what you guys have already discussed, any particular basketball memory or highlight that comes to mind that you want to elaborate on? It could have been something from a practice, something from a game, something from anything. I know we've talked a lot about it, but I don't want to leave the basketball hanging, because that's a big part of both of your guys' HBHA experience, and even continuing past that, college and beyond.
I think one interesting thing, and it kind of goes to Judaism as a whole, we did kind of have a little bit of a brawl in one of our games at the end of the game.
Oh,
As I'm sure we probably weren't the only class over the history of HBHA to experience some anti-Semitism during the course of a game.
oh no.
It came at the end of the game. It kind of boiled over, and fans spilled out on the floor, and it was a pretty unique experience. But I think it was something that was a great lesson for everyone at the time, to how to handle a situation like that. But yeah, it got it was a little fun, but looking back, it was probably not so fun at the
Probably
time.
not, but I mean, yeah, that's a real thing, and I know that other years have unfortunately dealt with sometimes someone maybe shouting something anti-Semitic or just something happening. But it's something that you guys dealt with together, as a team. Brett, anything that you any basketball memory you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I got tons of them, so I'll try to keep it brief. No, but we first of all, we were the original 6 a.m. basketball practice. So the reason any of these kids are practicing, I think some of them I might have heard over the podcast, practice early in the morning. That was us, and it was. I think we didn't like it at the time, but I think we ended up loving it. Because I'd have to get up, and on top of that, I'm picking up two or three other of my other basketball players that are younger.
I thought Aaron was the driver.
Well, this is high school. We're talking high school, right? So this is the original 6A, because you have to remember too, the J needed to figure out, because we didn't have that awesome gym that you guys have now. The J needed to figure out, because there was only the one gym. We had all these kids that needed practices, but the J also needed to be open for its members, right? And have basketball court availability. So when we wanted to get our practice in, we needed to do it at 6 a.m. So we are the original. I mean, it might have been even 5:30. I don't even know, but we are the original early morning folks that, and our teachers, we'd had volunteer. They bring us breakfast every morning after school. So we were the original ones there. We have some tournaments. Aaron, do you remember didn't we win the Elwood tournament
We did.
in St. Joseph, Missouri, our senior year?
Yeah,
I wasn't in St. Joe, but we won that tournament our senior
Elwood's
year.
right outside of St.
It
Joseph,
was
right?
outside of St. Joe.
Close enough, right? I don't know.
you know what? You would have beaten St. Joe too.
But as we
It was that tournament, though, I think the year before where we had that little on-court brawl afterwards. And I
Gotcha.
think we came in second place the year before.
and that's why we came back and we avenged
Came back and
ourselves
we
in the
avenged
league.
ourselves and
We
took the
we showed them
championship.
what we could do.
No.
So yeah, so that was something that was pretty cool. One of my personal things that I like, and I tell people all the time, and this is kind of an interesting tidbit. So in the Kansas City Star, they used to post a little, and they might still, the top 5 scorers of the week across all levels of basketball. So there was one week where I was the top scorer of the week in the city. So I'm in there, and on the list of the top 5 is myself, and then below me is Teron Lou. You know who Teron Lou is?
Yeah,
Teron Lou,
like NBA coach Teron Lou, former NBA player Teron Lou.
absolutely.
Best known
So
as the guy who Allen Iverson stepped over after a killer crossover.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I have a clipping of this little newspaper clipping that says top 5 scorers of the week, Brett Kaplan, and then below me is Teron Lou. So when I went to college and he was playing at Nebraska, I told all my buddies of this, and then obviously didn't know he was going to be an NBA coach, an NBA basketball player, and all that stuff. So that was kind of cool at the time. I don't know if they still do that.
Well, so we'll put it in context for the kids today. Today, that would be on Instagram instead of in the newspaper.
I guess.
Thank you, Aaron, for explaining what a newspaper is. I'm sure that many listeners were like, what's this guy talking about?
Clipping,
Brad,
clipping.
I'm assuming that you then challenge.
Yeah, they used to have the box scores of our games, of all the games in the city, in the Star. And so it'd be on that Sunday, they do the top 5 scores of the week.
How old are you, Brett? Because dang, how old are you? What? Newspaper?
Well, I'll let the audience figure it out, right? Because we're 95, and yeah, I'm old.
That's okay.
But the Elwood tournament was a great memory. The early morning basketball practices, the bonding with all of my, with all the teammates, and just being able to go out there and we had this atmosphere. Because listen, if I was at public school, I'll say I would have played basketball, but probably not. I probably wasn't. I don't know if I would have gotten the opportunities that I did now. So to have the opportunities in this basketball program to play, first of all, and then to take that and then move on and play in college as well, it wouldn't have been possible without the academy's basketball program. So it's very meaningful to me, and what our administration and our parents did to kind of get this up and going when we were in high school is very meaningful to me as well. So those are some of the great memories.
So Micah, my boys don't believe me when I tell them like how good we were. So maybe like for one of your classes, when you have them here in the next couple of weeks, you can force them to watch and listen to this podcast.
Absolutely. Yes, because so what you're saying is they don't believe you when you tell them, but if I show them a recording of you telling them, then they'll believe you. What you guys need is to dust off some like old grainy footage VHS tape that's been recorded of a game.
It exists. It exists.
Hey, Brett, if you send it my way, I'll embed a little video in the middle of the podcast for people to see it. So if you've got
I think I can. I think I actually. So I remember our senior year, our teammate Josh Rosenberg, his mom put together this amazing video, right? And she put it to. I remember that, Aaron. She put it to music. She took candid shots of us. They put in all this film and stuff. And so it exists somewhere. And that's honestly one of the ways I made it to Edgewood, Micah, was because Bob Henneke and my dad put together a highlight reel on a VHS tape.
Okay. Well, for real, Brett, if you've got it somewhere, even if it's just
I don't have that tape. I don't have that. My dad
got anything, send it my way and I'll put it up here on it.
But I think I had Josh Rosenberg's the tape that his mom made put onto a DVR, but that was some way. So there is footage out there that does exist.
Gotcha.
Of our program and our playing. So
I think we lost all the footage of us dunking though. Like that footage
that got erased in the transfer over from the old school to the new HBHA building.
I think someone taped the Friends episode over it, maybe.
But people have. I know there's got to be video out there. I remember Ryan Zeldin's dad videotaped a lot of games too. So I'm sure that there's images out there. There's some video.
It's like the elusive video of Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. People know of it, but there's not really the documentary footage to show it all. But we know it's there.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap things up, I always like to ask people kind of some rapid fire questions. So feel free to elaborate on these as much or as briefly as you'd like. Brett, I'm going to start with you. One of the first things you said was that your family has unexpectedly turned into a family of Swifties. And so give me your favorite Taylor Swift album and your favorite Taylor Swift song.
Well, Ophelia right now is really high up there, and I would do the dance if you want me to. No, I won't, but I won't. I know the Ophelia dance, but it's funny. I got my Apple whatever year in review, and it's a shared account, right? So Taylor Swift was like 7,000 minutes, and Ophelia, which has only been out what for a couple weeks, couple
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ophelia, the new album is good. So yeah, we're into it. I think my kids are more Swifties than I am, but I mean, I'm embracing it, right? It's happened. It
Perfect.
happened to us, right? It happened in Kansas City,
That's right.
our team. The world might not like it. I don't care. I do, you know?
Did you guys by chance see her when she was on tour?
I did not. No, I did not.
You know what? It's on the concert's on Disney Plus. So if they want, they can experience it from afar.
We've also streamed that many, many times. So yes.
Aaron, I don't know if you're a Swiftie yourself, but if not, I'll give you a chance. While we're on, let's just talk music in general. Give me what kind of music? What kind of music guy is Aaron into? If you're not a Swiftie, what are you at? I don't want to leave you hanging when Brett gets the good Taylor Swift question.
No. I honestly, I'll listen to anything. My music playlist is pretty broad and in range. I'll listen to rock. I'll listen to classical. I'll listen to rap. I don't really care. I'm getting to learn a lot of new music because of my teenage sons.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't have any one type of music. I enjoy going to live music concerts. So I've gone to a lot of concerts lately. Just so it really doesn't make a difference to me. I'm open to
You're
anything.
from the '90s, Micah. So like,
Yeah.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, those
Yep.
are the '90s is where,
That's where it's
that
at.
a lot of
I agree. I'm with you there.
uh,
Obviously, we spent quite a bit of time this episode talking about basketball. So, Aaron, I'll start with you for this one. I'll let you guys both answer. Aaron, favorite basketball player of all time? It could be college, NBA, or even it could be Brett Kaplan if you must.
Well, I mean, Brett Kaplan, that goes without saying. It's just a given. As a kid, I was a big Larry Bird fan.
Mm.
Um, from the Boston Celtics, if you may
Oh, thank
remember
you
him.
for clarifying. For younger listeners, they may not need the clarification of who Larry Bird, one of the like 5 to 8 best basketball players of all time, who he played for. But go ahead, continue.
So Larry Bird was probably my favorite player. It was interesting that once I became a referee, I don't like I love the game of basketball, but I do not like watching it or I don't follow any particular teams anymore because if I'm not getting paid to watch a game of basketball, I don't want to watch a game of basketball unless
Gotcha.
it's my boys playing. But
Yeah,
I'll just stick with Larry Bird because that's kind of brings back a lot of good memories.
gotcha. With Teddy and Gus Zitron as a close second and third.
Well, after Brett Kaplan.
Got okay. That's the Mount Rushmore right there.
Yeah.
Brad, how about you? Favorite basketball player of all time?
So I mean, obviously, I've got a lot. I love watching basketball, all aspects, college, high school, or college. I try to actually stream all the academy games that I can. Aaron's always texting me when they're on YouTube. I went to the academy game last. When was that? Last Wednesday, Aaron, or last Tuesday?
Yeah,
Last
whatever.
Monday.
Wednesday. Whatever.
But so obviously, Michael Jordan. But one of my reasons, my college roommate in Madison had season tickets to the Bulls.
I thought you were going to say your college roommate was Dennis Rodman.
No, but he had season tickets to the Bulls in Chicago. Madison to Chicago is not a far drive, so I got to see Jordan play a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
In his prime.
yeah, I got to see him live. The second three-peat, I was at 96, 90, 90, 96, 7, 8. That
Yep.
got to see him a lot there. But going back to Missouri, going back to my roots, Anthony Peeler, who you may have never heard of. You ever heard of that name?
No.
Paseo High School legend. Okay, so Paseo High School in Kansas City. Went to Missouri, of course.
Played in the
In
NBA.
the early 90s, went on to play for the Lakers, had a pretty good career. And then obviously Kareem Rush as well, a Missouri guy, a Kansas City guy. Not so much Duran, although he played at UCLA. I like Duran.
Hold on a second, bro. Do you remember we met Anthony Peeler when we were little kids?
All the time. I have a picture with him. We
Yep.
used to go down to Crown Center and the Marriott on Main Street for the Big Eight tournament, where the Missouri Tigers would have pep rallies Thursday night before their weekend tournaments in March, and you had access to all the players. Oh, well, no, you're talking about the
I'm talking
William.
about when we met him at camp up at
Yeah,
William
that's
Jewell.
right. I met him there too. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
still have,
we shot hoops with him, if you
that's
remember.
right. That's right. Oh my gosh. At the William Jewell basketball camp. Yep.
I mean, we were so close to making it to the NBA, Brett.
I know we have all these connections and all these things, but obviously Jordan. But some of those are some of my favorites. And today's basketball, I like it. I live in Milwaukee, right? So Giannis, we all like Giannis. My kids like the Bucks.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I don't have like a diehard favorite, but I like it all. I like it all in terms of basketball.
Very nice. All right, I'll let you guys out with this one. One last kind of school related one. If you had to come back to HBHA as a teacher, Brett, what subject would you be teaching?
Oh
Would
gosh,
you be the gym teacher, or are you mixing it up and you're going to go with like a little
I
Hebrew?
don't think I'm right. So, gosh, I mean, I probably wouldn't be qualified to teach English or math or so yeah, I guess we would say if I had to choose one, Jim, I like art. I liked our art classes, drama. Miss Phillips in her drama class. I always loved drama in the school plays, all that stuff too. I loved all that stuff.
Oh,
So that'd probably be the drama teacher. Let's say that drama's better. We'll do drama.
there's a whole parallel universe where we could have been discussing your burgeoning acting career instead of talking about your 3-point
I
shot.
mean, yeah, if we have another hour, we could go into that. I was Charlie Brown in the school play, Lancelot,
Oh my goodness.
those were some of the plays that we did. Yeah. Annie, get your gun. What was Charlie Brown, all that stuff. Yeah. I loved it. I loved drama class in school. That was one of my favorite classes.
Oh,
Did you do Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz too? Were you Dorothy?
No, we didn't. Did we even do Dorothy? No.
I don't
No.
remember.
I'm sure you would have crushed it in the role. Aaron, how about you? You're here, you're teaching. What subject are you teaching?
I'd probably come back and teach the kids math and gambling. That was probably one of the most
Be
fun
taking
things.
over for Mr. Ballman. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
teach them.
So
Teach them.
I'd teach them practical math skills. Who needs algebra when you can learn, what the best, bet is in a game of craps or something like that.
You know what, Aaron? That is algebra. That's just algebra in action. It's from the page to reality.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, Brett, I'm gonna let you guys go here. This has been super fun. And in terms of really thinking about HBHA lore, you guys graduated in 1995. My first year as a kindergarten student was 1996. So I just picked up the baton right from where you guys left off and kept on going, and we kept everything running from there. But for real, this has been so much fun hearing from you guys about your experiences, teachers you had, getting the basketball program off the ground. I'm sure that listeners will love hearing about HBHA of yore in HBHA lore. And for younger listeners, they get to hear about people they don't know. For maybe classmates of you guys and people from around your guys' era, they're hopefully sitting at home, nodding along and enjoying, reminiscing on the experiences along with you guys. So I'm just absolutely thrilled that we had a chance to chat today about it.
Yeah, it's been great. I do have to shout out real quick, Mike. I got to shout out Shira, POP, my boy Schmeggy, and Jaime Ankle. So shout out to all those guys.
Absolutely. And, while I don't specifically know the people being referenced, they'll listen and they'll know and they'll get it.
It
That's
will
what it's all about.
And yeah, I had to make sure I got that in there.
Make sure you send the link far and wide in the text chain.
Absolutely. Let's blow it up.
All right, Aaron and Brett, thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Micah.
Bye.